This thing looks like a mess. This thing's definitely been into before. This radiator is completely unhooked. Well, at least we have this air filter on. All these pulleys are pretty rusted. It's kind of looking that this thing might be locked up. Wow, there's got to be 1,000 pounds of dirt on this thing. I'm almost wondering if this thing was like in a flood or something. Yeah, that thing's got a hole in it. Well, it looks like this battery terminal is rusted solid. Well, here's what's left of our dash. Man, that thing was really smashed. Oh my gosh, look how thick that stuff is. Looks like we have a nice little mouse nest. Well, that thing was jam-packed as well. Yeah, that kind of looks like a GPS unit, like a tracking unit. I turn the key, it does nothing. Yeah, it definitely looks like there's some corrosion in there. So this relay is just full of like rusty water. It looks like somebody did some shoddy wiring here. Grab a little bit of this oil to get a sample. It's a lot worse than I thought. Like sand and stuff in there. That thing would have not lasted any time at all. It's showing that crank position code. That's probably the reason why this thing was at the auction to begin with. I was really hoping that the ECU wasn't bad, but it's looking like that. Hey guys, welcome back. So if you're new here, this is my 2015 Takeuchi TL10, and we picked this thing up for $9,000 at the Richie Brothers auction. When we got it, it was inoperable and it hasn't been ran in many years. As you can see, the sprockets are also really wore out and it's going to need new tracks, among many other things. This quick attach is completely stuck, needs a new cutting edge. So where we left off in the previous video, we weren't getting a signal from the crankshaft position sensor. You can see I took out the sensor here. We weren't getting a signal to the ECU. Come to find out, we either have some really bad wiring or the ECU is bad. Also, this DPF filter is completely clogged up, so we'll have to take that off and get it all cleaned out. We did get this thing running, but it's really hard to start and it just continuously beeps, along with the error codes just keep flashing. So I think it's on limited power. So before I go ahead and pull the ECU off and send it out or buy a new one, I want to make 100% sure that we don't have some wiring issue. I believe there's a resistor going between the sensor wire and a wire that's on this fuel rail here. So since we need to go ahead and clean this DPF filter out, I think we need to go ahead and take it off first. That way we can access the wiring down there and get the filter cleaned out as well. Yeah, this wire was rubbed pretty bad. You can see it all the way down to the bare metal. Alright guys, so this is our DPF, also known as a diesel particulate filter. Basically your exhaust comes in and there's almost like a ceramic material in here, and that filters all your exhaust smoke, and these things can get full of soot. Goodness, those things are on there. A little bit of rust and stuff in there, but pretty clean actually. First part of it. Alright, you can see that is really clogged because you can't see any light through it. This side is a lot cleaner, but yeah, that's pretty plugged up. Yeah, I'm surprised this thing was actually even running, because that is completely clogged up. Alright, so while we're waiting on that DPF filter to dry, let's dig more into this wiring. So basically this is our crank position sensor wire, and the manual here says that it has a resistor in line with it and the fuel rail pressure sensor. So we need to find that resistor and see if it's good. So I believe this is our fuel rail sensor, so it should be connected to that in line. So we basically got to dig through this wiring and see where it's at. Wire is just completely packed full of mud. So I'm also checking for broken wires and anything just out of the ordinary. Alright, so this right here is our rail pressure sensor, and it's basically going into this big loom down here. And it actually looks like there might be a resistor right here. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but let's go ahead and finish taking this harness apart. So I think this is that resistor. This thing is definitely packed full. Can't get this plug off. Yeah, that's it right there. It says 1.1K on it. So I believe this resistor is probably good, but there was some corrosion on those terminals. But let's go ahead and just test it. Got our meter set to 2K ohms, and we're just gonna probe the terminals here. And we're getting exactly 1.1 kiloohms. So yeah, this thing is definitely good. Okay, so now we're on the inside of the cab, and that main wiring harness is this one, and it follows through this connector, and then it goes up into this connector to the ECU. Oh wow, a lot of dirt in there. Look how dirty that connector is. Alright, here's the harness that we just cleaned the plug on. And I want to check the connection of this resistor. Okay, well, look at that. That can't be good. The loom itself has rubbed through this wire, and it looks like it's broken. It is broken. That is probably our issue right there. I'm really glad I checked that, because I was about to not to. Yeah, look, the wire's broken right there. Actually in several spots. Look at that. All right, that's probably our problem right there. That would be so nice if that fixes this issue. Something was just telling me to pull this harness completely apart and look at it. Yeah, leaving all this dirt in here will make the wires rub together, and that dirt and grit will make the same thing happen again. All right, so we got all the wiring fixed. We got the DPF cleaned out. So before we were getting a 3701 code and a 636 code. So let's go ahead and see if this thing's gonna start up. Hopefully our codes are gone. All right, well, we're still getting the beeping, so that's not good. Still getting our little DPF thing there. See if it starts up. Well, it does seem to start up a lot easier, but we are still getting our beeping. Let's go ahead and check our codes. All right, we are still getting the 3701 code, but our 636 code is gone. So that's pretty awesome, actually. So we might just need a regeneration. So this is our regeneration button. Let's hold that down, see if it will regen. Which it will not. So the good news is we got rid of the 636 code for the crankshaft position sensor. That is a big deal. That is awesome. So now we're just getting the 3701 code, which that's level 5 DPF buildup. Even though we mechanically clean the DPF, it still has to go into regen in order to clear that code. There's no other way to clear it. You have to hook a computer up to it and force a regen. And that's what kind of sucks about these machines. Now you have to have dealer software in order to work on them, or work on the computer part of them, versus your old machines, you know, you could basically fix anything without having to hook it up to a computer. So this is our computer diagnostic ports, and I do not have the software to hook up to that. And the Kubota software is super expensive. I mean, it's several thousands of dollars. I do have a friend that has it, and I'm gonna see if I can get him by here to help me get that code cleared out of here. But while we're waiting on that, we could still probably drive this thing around. So yeah, let's see if it moves.
Hey buddy, you're gonna have to get out from up under there. You look so cozy though. You sleeping? Hey, you wanna go for a ride? You wanna go for a ride?
All right, well, the thing works and it drives around pretty good. I think it's also at like 50% power due to the DPF code. So I guess while we're waiting on my buddy to get here with the computer, I think we can go ahead and replace the cutting edge and do all the other stuff to it. That thing just busted and whacked my finger pretty hard. Glad I was wearing gloves, or that would have took my finger off. would say that cutting edge is really wore out. Well, I didn't get much of that on camera, but we basically hooked the computer up to it and we tried to do a forced regen. However, we got a new code that just popped up, and that is a EGR code. All right, so this is the code we're getting, 523575 FMI 7, and we're still getting the 3701, which is the DPF filter. So right now the machine is in limp mode, which is 50% power. So with that code in there, it will not do a regen. So we're kind of back to where we were. It could be a wiring issue. It could be the EGR valve itself. That just really makes me hate these newer machines with all this DPF crap. We can't do the regeneration and get that beeping to go away and to get this thing out of limp mode without fixing the EGR valve. All right, so this is the part in question. This is the EGR valve. I believe there's a little motor in the back of it. That could be bad. And there's also like a valve that opens and closes. That could be just full of soot. Well, there's definitely some soot in there. All right, let's dig into this thing. It's got some soot in there, that's for sure, but well, it doesn't look bad. Okay, well that moves. And that moves. All right, so I'm just going to check the continuity of this plug wire going to the EGR valve. It's supposed to go to the ECU here, so I got a wire hooked up going to my meter. All right, so that's good. That's our white wire coming out of the plug, and there's our white wire going to the ECU. So I'm just going to go ahead and check all the rest of the wires, make sure we got continuity on the rest of them. All right, there we go. Got continuity on all our wires, so our plug should be good. All right guys, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit here. So basically what happened is I took the old EGR valve out which is this right here. I cleaned it up. Everything seemed to work fine on it, the motor and all. So I got this put back in. Got my buddy out here, we hooked the computer up to it, and the code popped back up. So I ended up buying a new EGR valve. Got that installed, and the same thing. Buddy came out, hooked the computer up, and it would not do a regen because of the code with the EGR valve. So where does that leave us now? Well, I could take this all back apart, dig into the wiring again. I'm sure that's what the issue is we have some more broken or corroded wires like we had with the crank sensor. Or I can do a weight reduction. I think that's gonna be our best bet. And the reason why, you know, I'm probably gonna continue to have issues with this DPF system. Also, whenever doing a regen, you have to run these things like full throttle for like an hour or more, and that cannot be good for the engine. So all right, so this is our ECM. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing packaged up and get it sent out, which is gonna cost me a little over $2,000 to get it reprogrammed.
Hey, buddy. Buddy. Just hanging out.
All right, well, here we are a few days later. We got a couple parts and our ECU back. Here's our ECU. This is the computer stuff, and we got a plate for the EGR valve. So, all right, let's get all that installed. So first thing we want to do is get our ECM reinstalled. Okay, so now we have our connection to the computer here. We're going to install our plug. Now we turn the key on, and this should blink for about 15 seconds. So, disconnect it. And now we aren't getting any more beeping, so that is awesome. We got rid of that. So this kit came with these little plugs that have these little resistors. These resistors are actually like temperature set resistors. So we have a plug here, but these two plugs here were cut by the previous owner, and they have these spade terminals. So these plugs aren't just going to connect. I did find one of the plugs in that box. It still has a little bit of the wires left. Maybe I can solder onto that. We'll give that a try. So we'll go ahead and start with this plug, because that one's still intact. So we need to connect this one to the harness going to the ECU. Just disconnect this plug, and we're going to just put this out of the way. So these plugs are labeled T2 and T0. That stands for temperature. So that's temperature 2, and we have temperature 0. This one will be temperature 1. Just pull these apart. So I got to basically connect this plug back to this. So I'm just going to make a little spade terminal connection on here. There's our little terminal. Should be good. Let's pop our plug back in there. All right, should be good enough. Finish getting these isolators pushed in. But our plug is good. And we'll just get this plugged in here. And now we can plug in our plug here. There we go. Heat it up. All right, so I got everything all buttoned back up. So let's go ahead and crank this thing up and see how it runs. So before we were getting a lot of check engine codes. It was beeping like crazy. So let's see what it does now. We get one beep. Also, I went ahead and fixed the fuel gauge. The connector was just full of mud. That's all it took, was just cleaning that connector out. Now the gauge works. Alright, so we're not getting any beeping. Let's see if we have any codes. And we have 0 error codes, so that is awesome. Engine sounds really good. It's not really loud. Well, it seems to run awesome. Let's get this thing greased up before we test it out. Yeah, this machine probably wasn't greased at all in a very long time. Alright, this fitting isn't taking grease. So that's pretty messed up. Let's get a new one in there. Really dry. This one's taking it. That's good. This one's not one to take grease either. I got a little bit better of a grease gun. Let's see if we can break through this now. I know I got at least 10,000 PSI on there. Looks like I gotta take the pin out. Alright, so to get this pin out, it would make it a whole lot easier if I can get this bucket off. However, these quick attach pins are completely seized in here. You can see the grease right there. It's just rusted solid. And it looks like somebody already tried pounding on them and bent this thing. So let's see if we can get these freed up. That way we can get the bucket off. Let's get these grease zerks removed first. It to move now. so here's our little hole. Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad. That's all it probably needed right there. Just that little tiny blockage was holding back 10,000 psi. That's crazy. There we go. Well, I got a little carried away and popped the forks off, but no big deal, it didn't hurt anything. But man, this thing is a massive stump. This thing has to weigh like 5,000 pounds or so, and the TL10 lifted it really no problem. My little Richie Brothers fork frame, I mean, it held up pretty good, but it did kind of bend that a little bit. Picked up some new sprockets and some new tracks. These are made by Airy Sun. I bought these same tracks for my mini excavator and I was pretty happy with them, so. Alright, well we got that loose, but it looks like we gotta take this bottom roller off to get it out. There's our roller. By the way, one thing people tend to miss a lot is inside these rollers there's bearings, and there's a little Allen screw right there, and these have oil in them. So I'm going to drain the oil out of these and replace it. One of the main reasons why these bearings go bad is because nobody ever replaces that fluid in there. Man, look at the difference in wear on these sprockets. All that is wore out of them. All right, well, that was a job. So we got some new tracks on it, got some new sprockets. We went ahead and greased all the rollers, got some new gear oil and all those. So that really will help keep the life of those rollers from wearing out too quickly. So yeah, I think we are pretty much finished. Let's go ahead and put this thing to work. So we got some of these rolls of this erosion control matting. So we actually got these for our new road that we had going to our house and the whole neighborhood, and we only used like a couple of them, so we have all these left. So I got a guy coming to pick up some of them, so we're gonna get them ready and loaded up on his trailer. I think these things weigh about 3,300 pounds, so it will be a good test for the TL10. So this is the driveway down to my shed, and in the first video the tow truck driver kind of drove off the side of it here. So in the meantime, I did put some more rocks over here and did pack it down a little bit better. I put some big chunks of concrete underneath this dirt, and that needs to be all packed down. And I also need to add a lot more dirt and gravel. Also, this ditch needs to be filled in because it's not being used anymore. I did put some large pieces of concrete down here to kind of hold this area up, but let's get all this filled in with some dirt. So I picked up this Chinese roller attachment from the auction as well. Let's go ahead and give this thing a try and see if it's any good. Just hanging out. You like the new track loader, buddy? Yeah. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. All right. Well, I'd say that is a whole lot better. I don't think I'm gonna have any more tow trucks going off the side anymore. So that roller did pretty well. I mean, if you look at the ground here, I mean, that's pretty solid. So yeah, I also put in tons of like concrete. I dug this up and put like all kinds of like concrete blocks and like broken up concrete. Same on this side, up under all this dirt. So all I need to do is get some grass seed and grow some grass and it will look pretty good. I still need to get a lot more gravel down there, But that is going to be later, because I really don't know if I'm going to tear this shop down and build a whole new shop. We actually bought all this land across from us, so I'm thinking about building a new house over there and a new shop, but I really can't make up my mind just yet if I want to build one here or build one on that property somewhere. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the machine. It did pretty good on this road. I've had some dump trucks go through here, and I mean, they didn't sink in at all, so seems to be pretty good. As far as the Takeuchi goes, this thing is performing awesome. I am so happy with this machine. I did put a pretty good bit of money into it. So I picked this thing up for $9,000 plus auction fees, which probably made it like $10,000 or so. I bought new tracks, new sprockets, oils. I also did the DPF stuff, which was $2,000 in itself. So I probably have a good, I don't know, maybe $15,000 into this machine. Let me know what you guys think it's worth. I've seen machines in this similar condition go from anywhere like 19, 20, 25,000. So I still think I did pretty good. And I've been thinking about painting it, but honestly, if I ever go to sell this machine, which I probably won't do, I don't really want to, you know, cover anything up with paint. Whenever I go buy a machine, I never buy anything that's been painted, because I like to see the original condition of it. And really, the paint on this, I mean, yeah, it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. I've seen machines way worse than this. If anything, I might touch up the paint there, you know, maybe over here or something. But on a lot of these machines, you see this gate all bent up and broken. I mean, yeah, there's some scratches on it, but the body is like really nice. So in the previous video, I took some oil samples of the hydraulic and engine oil. I got those results back, and the hydraulic oil was absolutely perfect. There was no issues. I mean, it looked basically brand new. The engine oil was also perfect, except for a little bit of water residue that they found. But all the wear metals, I mean, there was like none. I mean, they were actually at the higher end of the level, which is really good. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to use this machine. If I end up building a house and shop over on that property, this thing's gonna get a lot of use. I am in the market for a large excavator, so maybe I'll get one of those one day. I also did pick up this grapple here at the auction. I wanted to use this in this video, but we'll find another time to use that. So I'm super happy about those oil results, and that really makes me want to keep this machine, knowing that the engine is probably pretty good. Also, all the undercarriage is good now. I mean, really, there's nothing majorly wrong with this machine. It works pretty good. All the functions work, the high speed, everything. Like, it's a really good machine. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and fixing up this old Takeuchi or Tamagotchi or whatever you want to call it. And I will see you guys in the next video. See y'all, take care. Later.